Previously on Video Game Hangover.
I'm a lot older now than I used to be, obviously. And it's quite interesting.
Thanks for explaining how that works.
That's what I'm here for.
Hello and welcome to Video Game Hangover. This is episode 6. Yay!
They said it wouldn't.
They said it wouldn't last. We have groovy new theme music this week. I was dancing.
I'm still dancing.
Sit down. We have to do a podcast.
I will do it while dancing.
I'm Randy Dickinson, and I'm in Poughkeepsie, New York.
I'm DJ Ross from Mountain View, California, and everybody who's been playing me in Words with Friends this week, you are a disgrace to the English language. These are not real words, and you should be ashamed of yourselves. I call foul.
I distinctly recall you spelling the word mixed, M-I-X-T. I'm pretty sure that's not a word.
That's because I realized what lengths I have to go to be competitive in this game. I just
house rules.
I just make stuff up and see if it accepts it. I'm like, oh, cool. I learned something today.
Oh, I do that as well, yeah.
That's how he keeps winning, eh?
Well, that's how he won this time. I think he was trying to play by the rules before, and it wasn't working out. So
I kind of get fixated on just spelling a really awesome word, and as a result, I spell really awful words trying to get those last few letters, and it doesn't usually work out for me. So I'm adjusting my strategy.
I thought you were on some sort of like ridiculous win streak or something.
Oh, that's definitely not me. I think you're probably confusing me with Freakyzeeky.
Oh, that bastard.
He's basically a dictionary.
I'm beating him, though. I'm beating him.
Have you? Wow.
I'm beating him, and I'm not being DJ, so.
Well.
Anyways.
Yes. I'm Paul.
So who else is here?
The other guy in the corner who's apparently not in on the Words with Friends party.
No. You can't play games on a BlackBerry, Paul.
I know. I wish my company would supply me with an iPhone or something. But anyways, this is Paul Sandu in Dallas, Texas. And all you listeners out there, I'm officially challenging all of you to beat my high score in QWOP. 100.2 meters. Take that.
QWOP.
I didn't know what QWOP was until about 30 seconds ago, and I only got as far as 0.5 meters. The fact that you made it to 100.2, I can only imagine required hours of work and preparation and practice.
Actually, it took me about 15 minutes of furious typing, and my arms almost fell off when I was done.
Of curious karting or furious karting?
Furious typing.
It took you 15 minutes to go 100 meters?
Yeah, it was a pretty slow
my God.
process. and when I got to like 30 meters, I'm like, I gotta stop. And I'm like, no, I must keep going.
Once the music,
I did it, and I have screenshots to prove it.
Once the music starts up, you're kind of driven. You have to do it.
Yeah, I figured I owed it to QWOP, so there it is.
Get him that gold medal.
Well, and for those of you who are listening and have no clue what we're talking about right now, we will post a link. It's a Flash game. It's ridiculous.
It's the best game ever.
But it's kind of what we do here. So, well, on this week's show, we're going to talk about some of the games we've been playing lately, and finally have that talk about game reviews that we teased you with a few weeks ago. Finally.
Finally getting around to it.
Right. We've also got a nice surprise for one of our loyal listeners. You can find out how to get in on that at the end of today's show. But first, the 3DS is here.
The what?
Woo! Yes, that silence is the sound of enthusiasm that you hear from our group. So yeah, 3DS is out. It came out yesterday, Sunday. Nobody got one but me.
No, Randy is the only one in the country with a 3DS. He got the one that they
well,
bought.
no, I mean, nobody here in Video Game Hangover headquarters got one but me. And I did not even get up early in the morning and get in line. I moseyed into my my GameStop at 5:45 and said, I believe you have a pre-order for me. And they tried to sell me on some subscription to some crappy magazine. and I refused. But yeah, so I got a 3DS. I got Pilot Wings. It's fun.
Awesome. I checked that out a little bit on the. They have demo units all across the country at Best Buy and probably GameStop now. And Pilot
Yeah,
Wings
they've been
was a
really good
time.
about sort of getting those out there.
So, what are your early impressions so far? Are you satisfied with your new life in the third dimension? Can't go back.
It's like Tron in here. You would not believe how close they got it in the movie. It's it's nice. It's a DS. It has slightly better graphics, although nothing I've played in the last day has led me to believe that that's true. But I've seen it playing Resident Evil, and it looks very pretty. The Pilot Wings looks very much like a Wii game. Hardware-wise, it's nice. It's slick. It's a 3DS. Yeah, I'm trying to sort of find fun and interesting things to say about it, but I don't
It may be a little early.
I keep sort of
Yeah, too soon to tell.
I keep sort of running into things that I'm sort of like, oh, I'm disappointed that doesn't work that way. Like the store is not up, and I knew the store would not be up, but it's kind of disappointing the store is not there on day one. The friends list, and we were talking about this earlier, is a little sort of broken. Like it doesn't really do anything. Like I give you, it's cool that it has sort of one friend code for the entire system.
Finally.
And for every game you play. Finally, exactly. But it'll tell me that you're online. It'll tell me that you're playing, Nintendogs and cats. But I can't chat with you. I can't send you a message. I can't invite you to play a game with me. So it doesn't really sort of serve a purpose other than sort of social curiosity. So sort of whether or not those things are coming remains to be seen. And obviously the system's been out for a day.
Yeah.
I may
Calling
be
it now.
unnecessarily
Judgment,
critical
yeah.
at this point. Right. The 3D works. It works perfectly. It works perfectly as long as you remain perfectly still and stare at it at about 14 inches. Unfortunately, I've been playing Pilot Wings, and there's one of the vehicles that you get in the game is a glider. And in the course of trying to sort of fly my glider around the levels, I'm sort of flying my 3DS around the room. And if I move the DS even slightly from that perfect spot in front of my eyes, everything goes double. So you have to sort of focus on remaining perfectly still while you play your 3DS
Does it use
game.
that accelerometer for the glider controls? Like you had to tilt it?
It doesn't.
No.
No. But it's still like sort of. I think one of the games, the Monkey Ball,
Oh, yeah.
3D, uses the accelerometer, and the reviews have sort of said it kind of doesn't work.
Really?
That because you have to sort of tilt the unit to move your Monkey Ball. You're constantly tilting it out of the sweet spot, and you can't sort of focus on what's happening on the screen. So most of the critics and the reviews that I've read, anyways, have turned the motion control element of it off, the accelerometer controls off, and have just played it with the little nubby pad.
Oh, that's interesting that they decided to turn off the motion controls and not the 3D.
Yeah. Well, I think the 3D is sort of the selling point. Otherwise you're just playing a DS.
Right. A DS with motion controls.
Yeah, I suppose that's true. I don't know. A Monkey Ball doesn't appeal to me, so I don't know that there's going to be a lot of motion gaming in my future for my 3DS. But I guess it remains to be seen what will come out. But it's nice. It's slick. It's a cool piece of hardware. It's cool that you put it in a little dock and it sort of went out and downloaded the system update without me telling it to. I can watch an OK Go video in 3D. Which is cool.
Oh, really? Which one? Which video is it?
White Knuckles, the one with the dogs doing
Okay.
tricks.
Cool.
Yeah, it was fun. Yeah, we'll see. I only have one game. The QR, the AR, alternate reality. Yeah, games are fun.
I want to check that out. There's supposed to be a way to, if you go to one of those Best Buy demo stations, you can like trick it into doing the AR stuff. And I tried fruitlessly. But no. But I heard that's everybody sort of universally says that's the coolest thing about it, and I want to check it out.
Yeah,
I have
I
no
hope they
idea
do-
what that is.
it's the you get a series of of little cards. They look like playing cards, and they have different symbols on them. They have like Mario on them, and one of them has a 1-up box with a question mark. You put it on the counter, and you select QR games. QR? Why do I keep saying QR? AR games from the menu on the 3DS, and point it at the card, and it sort of morphs the countertop or desktop or whatever you're playing on into the game. So like little targets popped up in palm trees, and I had to sort of move my 3DS around my kitchen countertop and shoot at little targets. And as I hit 3 targets, like the targets would close up, and a mountain would come up and a dragon would come out, and you had to shoot the dragon a couple of times and stuff. And everything sort of required you sort of pivoting around the environment, which in this case was my kitchen counter.
Oh, okay, that sounds kind of cool.
To hit these goals. So yeah, it was really neat. The thing that I was most impressed with is that it actually sort of created depth in my kitchen counter. Like the card appeared to sort of sink into the counter, and I had to sort of move the 3DS up and sort of look into my kitchen counter to shoot a target that was down in a well. Yeah, it was really, really neat. It sort of played with my head a little bit, which I'm like, oh, this is definitely a sort of a gaming experience you can't get on any other console. So this is utterly unique. But yeah, I guess it remains to be seen whether or not that continues to be supported, or if it's just sort of a launch day kind of game.
That's cool. I mean, it would be nice if developers end up using that in quote unquote their full games that eventually come out, and not just sort of these pack-ins.
Yeah, it did feel sort of like a demo. It felt sort of like I after I hit all 15 targets, it went, congratulations, good job, and it was over. And I'm like, oh. There's more there. There's I think there's 5 other types of those kinds of games in there. I only played the one with the little dragon and the targets and stuff like that. So there is more to be done. But yeah, there's sort of a social game where if you take your DS out of the house and you walk past somebody else who has their DS, their little me pops up in your plaza, and they bring a puzzle piece. And if you get enough people together who all have puzzle pieces, you can solve a puzzle. So they sort of took the me parade and turned it into a meta game. But I just don't know how likely I am to sort of encounter other people in Poughkeepsie walking around with their 3DS.
Yeah, say maybe by about the same time as you get your Dragon Quest Inn completed, you'll be able to see what the puzzle looks like.
So now I am now expected to carry around 2 pocket gaming systems at all times. So yeah, I think PAX. It's gonna be PAX. It's gonna be the thing where all of this comes to happen.
Cool. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I just I want games for it. There's just not a lot right now that appeals to me, and that was the thing. Actually, I was considering sort of nixing my my pre-order because there just wasn't a lot on day one that I was dying to play.
Yeah, I was pretty sure I wasn't going to get one right away, but there's definitely stuff coming out. Like they already said Mario Kart. I have to get the new Mario Kart, of course.
Oh yeah, totally.
The new Animal Crossing, I really hope is I would really like if they use some of the the 3D and AR features in that. Like it would be cool to sort of walk around your town and feel more immersed because stuff is it looks 3-dimensional. You're surrounded by trees and flowers or whatever else you have in your town.
Right.
And you
can owe Tom Nook money in multiple dimensions.
He'll sneak up behind you. You have to turn around, and Tom Nook was there.
You better have my money.
And I was just thinking, sort of randomly, it would be cool if they use this AR sort of camera control to, one of the components in Animal Crossing is you dig stuff up in your town. It'd be cool to, look around trees or rocks or something like that for stuff to dig up, or rare flowers, or I don't know.
Oh yeah.
In all likelihood, it's just going to be the same Animal Crossing we played on the DS 5 or 6 years ago, but in 3D. So, but what if?
With more sort of crazy collectible things that you have to sort of wait up until 4 a.m. on July 8th when the moon is full. Yeah, to get. Which reminds me, I never caught the coelacanth.
Oh no.
No, I think that's the one sort of rare fish that I never caught.
I had a whole aquarium full of coelacanths.
Oh wow. I should come visit you and steal some. But yeah, Paul, any desire to get into the 3DS, or why have you sort of stayed out of it up to this point?
Just not a whole lot of games out there yet that have piqued my interest. I'm going to give it about a year and a half before I really give it a solid look. But right now, There's nosing.
I'm kind of hoping out I can hold out
um,
for that first hardware revision because one of the
That
universal
too, yeah.
complaint about this seems to be like the battery only lasts for about 3 or 4 hours.
That's no
They've
good.
got to fix that in the 3DS Lite or whatever they call it, right? Right?
Yeah,
I don't
right.
know.
Yeah, no, I was just sitting on the couch last night poking at it and just sort of like setting up my account and creating my me. Yeah, that's what it's called. Little me guy. And
The wee little me.
the Wii Me, yeah. And I went down 2 little lines on the battery just poking at that stuff.
Oh,
So,
wow.
I mean, I may have been sitting on the couch for 90 minutes or so, but still, it was eating battery. So that definitely has to be addressed. I mean, stuff like that can be done with firmware upgrades too. So I imagine people are working hard at it. But out of the gate, it's a little disappointing. And it's certainly not going to last on a New York to LA flight for me.
Nope.
So, yeah. So the DS didn't launch with a killer lineup either. So, I mean, it took like a year before there was anything on there that I was dying to play either.
Yeah,
But
that's true.
it's coming. I'm sure people are working around the clock on games for it.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure they're up right now.
Cool. So, let's talk about other games we've been playing that are not in three dimensions.
Old-fashioned 2D games. Yeah.
Yeah, old-fashioned
People still
2D
play
games.
Those
Yep.
things suck.
How quaint. Paul, you're still poking away at Dragon Age 2?
No, actually, I completed it about...
Did you?
Yeah, 10 days ago, man.
Wow. And
Loved
now
it.
you're never going to
I really don't have a whole lot. No, actually, I immediately started a second game a few hours later because I'm like, been through it once. Let's see what happens when I make the other choices. No, but there's been a lot of controversy and stuff surrounding Dragon Age 2, which I can't wrap my head around. I loved it. In fact, I do think I like it a little bit more than the first one, which was surprising, but I'm very happy to report that it's an excellent game, and don't listen to the BS on the BioWare forums, people. That place is a cesspool.
Generally, just never read internet forums. Pro
Yeah,
tip.
but BioWare forums seem to be worse. Nah, loved it. I haven't been gaming too much this last week, though, because I took on a second job, and I've been in training all week, so haven't had a whole lot of time to play games. But I've also been playing that new Hard Corps Uprising. Finally got around to playing that, and woo, love it. And I love the fact I love the fact that I have still been unable to beat the first boss.
I've been
That
doing
game's
a little
just kicking my ass.
That's a winner.
Well, oh yeah, I mean, DJ, you've been playing that too,
Yeah.
right?
So if you don't know about it, Hardcore Uprising, basically a new Contra game, spin-off,
Yeah.
a sequel to Contra Hardcore on the Genesis, I think, which I have to
the
admit I
Genesis,
never
yeah.
played, but
It was pretty good.
yeah, it's great. I mean, it's the last Contra game I played was Shattered Soldier for the PlayStation 2, which was terrible. It was really bad. But this one's it's got that sort of classic Contra feel. It's 2D. Got the spread gun, which is really the only thing you need to be recognized as a true Contra game. And yeah, it's not a walk in the park by any means. I definitely took quite a few tries to get through that first level.
So why isn't it called Contra Hardcore Uprising?
Well, it's weird. I
don't know.
read that they I think the line is they want to spin this off into its own IP. But then my reaction to that is like, well, they're not really pumping out those Contra games, so I don't really understand why they need to differentiate.
So has the Contra sort of license become devalued by a series of crappy games, or has it just been a
I don't
long
know.
time?
I mean,
That might be both. Who knows, right?
Yeah.
I thought Contra
Might be a little
4
bit of
got
both.
favorable reviews on the DS, but I don't know.
Yeah, I played that. It was hard. I didn't play it for long, but I had that.
Well, this one is kind of cool because there's a typical arcade mode where you go through and you get 3 lives and then you die halfway through the first level and then you're done. But they've thrown in this new mode called Uprising, which is sort of has this sort of RPG style progression where the points you earn in each game you can spend towards character upgrades for better weapons or more lives or new acrobatic abilities, stuff like that. So that's real cool. It gives you a reason to come back, and it lets you progress a little bit further each time you play. So people are bound to not get quite as frustrated. And
I actually enjoy the fact that the game was kicking my ass, though.
Yeah, it's a little refreshing.
Remember,
it's kind of refreshing that you can't just sit down and do it in one sitting.
Because I really wasn't expecting that, because like I figured it'd be a total walk in the park because I played Contra for the NES last year and I died like twice and I beat the game. Like, oh, Hardcore Uprising came out in 2011. This is gonna be like so easy for me, man. I'm such an old school gamer. And then I couldn't even beat the first boss. I'm like, yeah, I remember when games used to kick my ass and I liked it. Now I was very surprised. Also, I wonder why they did drop the Contra name, because there's a whole lot of subtle homages to the original Contra in this game. So
Oh yeah, no, all
I don't
over the
know.
place.
It's kind of weird.
I had no idea that it had any ties to Contra until you guys just said it a few minutes ago.
Oh really? Oh.
So they're definitely not sort of doing their part to get the word out about that, because that makes it, I mean, to me anyways, it makes it slightly
Yeah,
more
I mean, you think
Yeah,
if
exactly.
you told people there was a new Contra game coming out, they'd be like, "Oh, I'd play a new Contra." Never heard of this
and
Uprising.
it's downloadable and it's relatively
Yeah.
cheap, right?
I think it's like $15 or however many Microsoft blimbly bloops.
Sort of the standard going rate. Yeah. I would also like to propose in the video game Hangover drinking game that you must drink every time Paul says, "I loved it. When I finished it, I immediately started a second playthrough."
I'll add that to the list.
Because I believe that's come up a number of times.
Well, what can I say? Dragon Age 2 is excellent. I don't want to get into it too much, but it's great. I loved it.
Excellent.
I've
The,
actually finished Hardcore last week, and I immediately started a second game of it.
You mean you started a second playthrough?
That's your second shot, listeners.
It's only when you say
it wasn't included. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not in trouble yet.
Well, if you want to have a really good time, let's include DJ in that for this episode.
Okay.
All right. For this
Depends
episode,
how much you want to drink.
I finished Bulletstorm
Nice.
just the other day. I did not immediately start a second playthrough.
Ah.
There's an echo mode where you can sort of try to get like high scores during particularly chaotic sort of chunks of the game, and I played one of it and got killed and didn't care. That notwithstanding, I like that game. It's a good game. It's a lot of fun. It's very fast paced. It's very visceral. It's completely and utterly ridiculous. But I had a really, really good time with it. I was pleasantly surprised by how much fun there was to be had on that disc. I talked a bit about that last week, so I won't dig too deep into it.
Glad you had a good time, though.
Yeah, it was thoroughly enjoyable. I in my article on videogamehangover.com, perhaps you've heard of it, I posited that releasing Bulletstorm and Killzone 3 on the same day was a dubious choice, and that my money was on Killzone 3. To date, I've played about an hour and a half of Killzone 3, and I've finished Bulletstorm.
Oh,
so
wow.
Yeah, there.
clearly I have no business talking about video games.
What's wrong with
All right,
Killzone 3?
Randy's fired.
It's very just sort of does its thing. Like in the time that I spent with it, which was admittedly not a lot of time, it really didn't do anything that sort of presented itself as new or different or sort of forward thinking.
I could have told you that.
Yeah, it just
Zing.
I really had a good time with Killzone 2 though, so I'm not sure why I'm not having a good time with Killzone 3. Perhaps it's just because it seems sort of like more of the same, or maybe I just haven't sort of played enough of it to
Give it some time. I'm sure it'll
get
warm up
the
to you.
full taste of it. Yeah, I'm sure. There's definitely fun to be had there. I just I didn't dig deep enough yet. But I started Need for Speed Hot Pursuit, which has been sitting on my shelf for about a month and a half.
Yeah, didn't that come out last November or something?
I think it was. Yeah, I certainly didn't buy it upon release. They had EA had a Facebook deal of the day thing where if they got a certain number of likes, you could grab it for $22 or something like that. So
Oh, I missed out on that.
I hit on it. I got it.
Nice.
I like it. It's fun. It's very well, it's Criterion. It's the folks that did Burnout Paradise.
And I
which
like that a
love.
lot.
Yeah, me too. Which is probably the last sort of racing game of this type that I've spent a lot of time with, that I got really addicted to. And it definitely sort of has the trappings of that. It definitely feels like that.
So it's got that arcadey feel where you can just kind of hop in and have a good time right away.
Yeah, definitely. And it's
Awesome.
good at sort of throwing objectives at you. It's good at sort of giving you if you choose, it gives you a world that you can sort of drive around and look for look for races, look for competition. It's really excellent at sort of saying, hey, it always comes down to Freakyzeeky. Your friend Freakyzeeky got beat this race against these competitors in 3 minutes and 13 seconds. Do you think you can beat him?
Yeah, I've heard the leaderboard system in that game is really robust to keep
it's
that
nutty. It's always
going.
sort of telling you, you beat your friend by 36 seconds. Do you want to post to his wall that you beat his score? So you just hit X and it posts. Next time that he starts up his game, it'll go, hey, Randy beat you by 13 seconds. Do you want to try to beat his score? So it's really good at sort of like stoking that competitive fire.
Excellent.
That said, the whole thing feels very sort of clinical, though. It feels very static.
I'm curious, does it still have the sort of the open world element that Burnout Paradise had? Because that was sort of that was like what their big departure with that. I'm curious if they brought it along.
It's there.
Oh, yeah.
There's like a free drive. I believe there's a free drive mode. I've not really poked around with it too much. I've been doing the very sort of just sort of clicking through the menu and going through the challenges as they present themselves. You alternate between being the cops and pursuing the criminals, the speeders, the racers. And as you do more and more races, they give you more weapons to sort of shut down these big races, which are kind of fun. You can call in like a helicopter strike. You can set up a roadblock and
chopper
stuff like
gunner.
That. Spike strips. You can drop spike strips out of the back of your car.
Ooh, that'd be fun.
Yeah, and so in the races where you're not a cop, you get to be the racer, and you have to outrun the cops. And it's very gratifying to slam a cop off the side of the road and watch his car go spiraling out.
In the game.
And in the game, of course. No,
Yeah, don't do this in real life, kids.
No, I would not propose such antisocial behavior in real
Or
life.
at least ask your mom and dad first.
Yeah, so it's still there. You can still sort of drive around and do that kind of stuff. I haven't done a lot of it because I'm okay with sort of just going off a list of challenges. I don't really need to drive around, but I know that it sort of does open up other opportunities and things like that for you. It has a leveling system. You earn XP and blah, blah, blah. You get new cars, blah, blah, blah. That's sort of pretty standard for the course, I think, at this point. But it does. All of it sort of seems very sort of like... and again, maybe it's sort of a similar Killzone thing, or maybe it's just that I play too many games, but it all seems very sort of by the book. There isn't a lot to it other than that social competitive part that feels significantly different from a lot of other racers, or significantly different from Burnout Paradise in that regard. And again, I probably have only put maybe 4 or 5 hours into it, but at what point does this become crazy over the top fun? In the 19th hour, is that too long to wait? So I just don't know how much more there is for me to want to do with it. I had fun with what I was doing, but it's not exactly calling me to come back to it.
And yet this game
maybe it will
manage to get, I think a lot of critics called it the best racer to come out last year. And there's definitely no shortage of racing games last year, so I'm sort of curious.
It was nuts.
Sounds like you're not having an amazing...
I would say Blur is better than this.
Okay.
At least Blur is more fun than this.
I was a huge fan.
Well, I mean, you've been playing this by yourself, though, right?
I have, yeah. I've not actually played online against other
you should try it online before you call it, then, because...
I suppose that's true, yeah.
Yeah, that was probably one of the reasons why Blur was so enjoyable. You always played it with other people.
Right. And Blur was no fun by myself.
Yeah, see, there you go.
I don't think I touched
so that's true. That's a good point.
Seemed pointless.
I tried because you can sort of unlock cars in the single player in Blur that you can bring into the multiplayer. So I sort of felt like, oh, well, I have to do both. But I didn't do the single player for long. So yeah, I guess it's probably not a fair comparison, but Blur's good regardless. Go play it if you're in the sound of my voice. Yeah, Need for Speed. I don't know. I'm not sure how much more I'll play with that, unless you guys get it and want to give it a whirl. I'll give it a go.
If I knew it was $20, I probably would have picked it up.
Apparently, I need to share these things more often.
Yeah, because it's kind of a lull for me till May. Like, I have nothing lined up. I may get Mortal Kombat next month. The demo blew me away by how MK2-ish it felt. So I was very, very pleased. But again, if I have nobody to play that with, I'm probably not going to get it. So, the entire month of April, it's time to go for that backlog.
You know who I know is getting that is Freakyzeeky. I'm sure he would love to fight you online.
What I need is more games in my life where I have to play against Freakyzeeky. I need more games that have little pop-ups that go, Freakyzeeky is better at this than you.
Oh, I think I can take him.
I think it says that on the
fighting
box.
games, I'm pretty confident.
Right.
It's like 2 players, mandatory install. Freakyzeeky is better than you at this game.
Nice. Cool. I think that's about it. I mean, other than Pilot Wings, of course. And I think, DJ, you had sort of a 3DS related follow up sort of.
Oh yeah, well, I was just sort of curious since Paul and I are kind of a little cool on the 3DS launch. We're not
too cool for school.
On top of that, and then we've already said that we're not really planning on picking one up right away. I was curious if you could have any one of your favorite series just show up on the 3DS, and maybe even make use of that, the 3D or the AR camera, all that. What would it be? What game would you guys pick?
See, I had a hard time with this one because it's like if I want to see a sequel or one of my favorite games on a system, I'd like to see it on either my Xbox or my PlayStation. So I just kind of thought about it for a second. I'm like, well, I'd love to see a new Suikoden game because I just want to see a new Suikoden game, period. And the last one that was worth playing that came out was on the DS. So, of course, the sequel will be on the 3DS.
Do you feel like that would get a lot of benefit out of being in 3D? Or you just want a new Suikoden game?
Other than the fact that it
You'll
would probably
take it
just
any way you can
exactly. Other than the fact that will increase the chances of it getting made. Period. I don't know. I mean, maybe. I don't know. The entire 3D thing hasn't sold me yet. Like I said, I'm gonna wait a year and a half before I probably even get a 3DS. So we'll see how it goes. I mean, I'm not completely sold on it yet, but I'm also not writing it off. It's just way too soon for me to tell.
Well,
but new Suikoden, please, because I want one.
Konami is I think they got some time on their hands. They might be able to scrape that together.
Let's hope so.
Maybe this will plant a seed in somebody's head.
Hopefully, yes. We need to go deeper.
I think the game that I most want to play on the 3DS has already been announced. Animal Crossing. That's
that's a cheap answer.
No, I have a real answer, but I do want to acknowledge that the imminent existence of a new Animal Crossing game. There's probably, well, no, I can't say that now that I've played Dragon Quest IX. But prior to Dragon Quest IX, there wasn't another game that I spent a ridiculous amount of hours with, like Animal Crossing. Wild World.
I'm gonna say it's also I had to admit to the same cop out, but I was also gonna say I'd like a new Animal Crossing.
Oh, for crying out loud! Why not just say that you guys want to see a new Mario game and just be over with it?
Wait a minute! Before you say your real answer, though, I'm just curious if they I think there's a pretty high chance that when this new Animal Crossing comes out, it's just going to be the same old Animal Crossing. Are you still? You think you'd still be into it if it's just the same thing but in 3D?
Probably.
We're all gonna get it. I mean, come on.
Yeah. I mean, as long as there's sort of like new milestones and new events and new bullshit to collect, I think
there needs to be Poncho.
I'll buy it. I think probably would have gotten more addicted to the Wii one if I could sort of take it with me everywhere. And that is sort of like the conceit of Wild World, was that it was sort of like everywhere that I wanted to be. There was a few minutes I could spend, banging on trees with my shovel, or fishing, or paying back Tom Nook.
I hate that guy.
Yeah, everybody does. But yeah, so I think, on some level I do want the familiarity of it. And on another level, obviously, I would like there to be enough sort of new stuff to do. And not just sort of, it's Wild World with 3D graphics. Yeah.
That's what it's going to be, though.
Shut up.
Yeah. I know. I hate to be Debbie Downer.
I don't want to hear it, Paul.
I gotta say, I think the whole portable thing was another big hang-up for me on the Wii version, because it was such a chore just to start that thing. It sounds totally lazy and ridiculous. Had to turn on the TV,
press the power button,
turn on the Wii. Yeah. But yeah, actually, being portable went a long way for it. It made it really easy to just pick up anytime.
Well, the game, it's designed to be bite-sized to begin with, so it just fits so perfectly with, play for 10 minutes, put it away. Yeah. It just fits the portable system so well.
Well, I could say that about Dragon Quest IX. I would not have put nearly as much time in it as if it required me to turn on my console and my TV every single time I wanted to play it. The beauty of an addiction like that is that you can take it anywhere with you. But I guess sort of my real-ish answer, and this is sort of, I guess, real in the sense that I don't know that this game is being made, is I love Picross 3D. And I think a Picross game with honest-to-God 3D graphics would be awesome.
Just blow your mind.
Right. The problem is obviously is that the touch screen that you use to sort of break apart the blocks is not the 3D screen on the 3DS.
Oh.
So I'm not sure how that would work necessarily, but I would love for them to sort of those people to find a way to make a proper 3D Picross game.
What was what did they use the top screen for in Picross 3D? I can't remember.
Your score and how many strikes you had, and that weird little duck thing that
I forgot about that duck.
make noise when you got strikes. Yeah, your timer was up there too. Every puzzle had a time limit, so they had a little timer clicking on the top screen. So, I don't know how they would do it, but I think sort of navigating a 3D block in 3D and chipping away at it with the little crazy math equations that Picross gets you to do would be awesome. But there is obviously sort of a logistical hurdle to overcome there. DJ, did you have another real answer?
I'm really embarrassed that I came up with this topic, and I was just going to say Animal Crossing. But
oh man, now I'm pissed. You were putting so much pressure on me before the show.
Know, I just like giving you a hard time. But no, I'm still pulling for that Animal Crossing that totally just reinvents the franchise. It's not just the same thing over and over. Because I feel like they could really do a lot with the the AR, make you feel like you're actually exploring your village, or now this has sort of a real online connectivity, or at least it's rumored to, based on what Randy was talking about with the friends list not being actually do anything. But yeah, I think it's back on a portable, so it's everybody's going to pick it up. It'd be nice if it's sort of a brand new thing. They reinvent themselves this time around, because I would love to put another couple 100 hours into that game. And that's a conservative estimate.
Right. Excellent. All right, cool. I think we're going to take a break, right?
Yeah.
We're going to take a break here for another undoubtedly riveting episode of Video Game Community Theater.
Oh, they're going to love this one too, I think.
Well, excellent. You heard it here first. You're going to love this.
Yeah.
We'll be right back.
Video games are art. Here at Video Game Hangover, we respect that art. We welcome you to join us for a little segment we call Video Game Community Theater.
Die, monster! You don't belong in this world.
It was not by my hand that I am once again given flesh. I was called here by humans who wish to pay me tribute.
Tribute? You steal men's souls and make them your slaves.
Perhaps the same can be said of all religion.
Your words are as empty as your soul. Mankind ill needs a savior such as you.
What is a man? A miserable little pile of secrets. But enough talk. Have at you.
Thank you for joining us for this installment of Video Game Community Theater.
Okay, and we're back. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that little rendition of our Dracula and his secrets. And now we're about to go on to this topic that's kind of near and dear to my heart here. I might get a little bit worked up, so I do apologize in advance if I do yell and scream and call my co-host names. And we're going to be talking about game reviews. Basically, what makes a good game review to us, and what we look for in game reviews and things like that. And really what got us going on this topic was, I think Randy had done some tweet about some movie he wanted to see, and it got really, really panned on Metacritic or something, and of course I got upset. And
Really passionate about Metacritic here.
Well, I hate Metacritic. I think
see what I mean?
Metacritic is... Sorry, what was that?
I said, see what I mean?
Well, I just think it's one of the worst things out there. Like, how do you take reviews of any sort of artwork and distill it into some sort of arbitrary scoring system. Like, I don't see how there's any value in that. Now, I know
we're not talking about artwork. We're talking about shitty Hollywood.
Just want to know how the latest Call of Duty did.
Right, exactly.
Well, I don't know. Go ahead, man.
No, I think yeah, I mean, I'm not looking up sort of critical mass reviews of what? I don't know, something that you would think is artwork. Limbo, I guess, like a game from last year that I guess sort of could operate as a piece of art, or Braid. I mean, these are sort of artistic games, and I think sort of the pleasure you would derive from them is still subjective, but nonetheless, I think, if I'm going to spend $60 on a game or $15 on a movie, I would like to get some input from people who see a lot of movies or play a lot of video games on whether or not it's worth my time and money.
But do you base your purchasing decisions off of what these people who you've never met think, or do you base it more off of what your friends and family or whoever, like, their recommendations? Isn't that more important to you these days?
No.
Sounds like a loaded question.
No, not really. I think sort of as far as gaming goes, I sort of know what I like to a certain degree.
Yeah.
And I think if a game sort of appears to sort of fit within that genre, those genres of games that I'll be okay with, I usually sort of give them a go. But like if things are sort of outside of my comfort zone, if things are outside of the realm of things that I know that I'll enjoy, I usually do go to Metacritic. I usually do go to sort of see what the top 10 reviews are, and then I always scroll all the way down to the bottom one and see what their complaints are.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do actually sort of base not all of my buying choices, but many,
no, not all,
I would say,
but
of my buying choices on Metacritic reviews.
I'm kind of in the same camp. Yeah. Well, so when you suggested doing this topic, you gave us a bunch of questions. I was like, what do you want in a game review, and why do you go looking for these reviews? And I thought about it, and actually sort of had a hard time answering the question, because I realized that I don't really go out and seek out game reviews like I may have at one point.
I used to a lot when I was younger.
Yeah. I mean, because you're always waiting. Like, well, I mean, maybe back then it was in a magazine, and you wanted to, before the internet, and you wanted to see what this game you were looking forward to was all about and what people thought of it. But sort of like Randy, I think I have developed sort of a pretty good sense of whether or not I'll be interested in a game. I mean, based on stuff I played before, and I can sort of sniff out whether it's in line with my tastes.
For me, it used to be like I would find one or two reviewers whose tastes I felt would really align with mine, and then I would try to see what they thought about a game I was interested in, because there was that history there that had been built up. I got a feel for the things they liked, and if it jived with mine, then I'm like, okay, well, I can kind of trust what they say, or I can get a feel for the way they approach games, because it's completely subjective, right? We can all agree on that. Mm-hmm. I mean, reviews are just opinion pieces, really, and I think one of the problems I have with Metacritic is that you're taking all these different sources who might have completely different, what's the word I'm looking for here? They might have different priorities or different agendas. Like you have like official Xbox magazine or official PlayStation magazine. Those reviews, I mean, as much as they say that they might be impartial, or maybe they don't, I don't know. I don't read those magazines, but they're given equal weight on Metacritic, aren't they? I mean, it's not just like, this company is affiliated with another developer, and therefore their reviews are going to be given less merit or something. It's just everybody is thrown to this one generalized pool, and I don't see how you can get some sort of a standardized value for their reviews. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just kind of confusing.
Well, you shouldn't obviously base your purchases on the sole word of the official Xbox magazine.
You'd be like, I will buy anything that scores 81 or higher.
Right, exactly. But I think if you throw Xbox Magazine into the pool with 47 other sources, I think it's sort of easy to distill whether or not that game will have any value to you. I think that's what Metacritic does best for me, is that obviously, I think you said that you know that there are a number of critics, or a couple of critics anyways, that have similar taste to you.
Well, they don't write reviews anymore, so
okay.
I'm very
well,
sorry.
I don't know that about any critics, and I don't know. I don't think I've ever known that about critics. So for me, it's never been a matter of finding one or two personalities or perspectives that are similar to mine, and then sort of using that as an endorsement of what they're into.
Right.
So I think for me, it is a matter of making sure that I have at least some input from multiple sources. But I think, like DJ was saying, like, I don't necessarily go out searching for reviews. But I think, certainly in the last week and a half, when I was trying to decide, which game should I get with my 3DS, I was looking for reviews. I was trying to find, which of these seemingly not terribly exciting games are worth my $40.
Which is the least terrible.
Which is the least offensive, exactly. So that was a case where Metacritic was exceedingly handy in that there were a couple of games that sort of bubbled up to the top of that list, and that is ultimately where I elected to put my money. I mean, Pilot Wings was not something that was on my radar, but it seems to be the thing that most critics were impressed by, A, the sort of quality of the game, and B, the use of 3D. Because obviously I wanted to make sure I got a game that sort of sold that that bullet point to me.
I think it's another reasons I don't go look for reviews is there's just so much like pre-release content and coverage now on blogs and everything. So I feel like by the time a game actually comes out, you already know plenty about what's going on, and maybe there's even a demo or a beta or whatever they want to call it, where you've actually gotten to try it out and form your own opinion. So by the time they actually come out and do these long-winded reviews, especially on blogs and stuff like that, it feels almost like a formality.
Ooh, don't say that.
Well, it does on some level seem redundant.
No,
at that
I know.
point, right?
I see.
We've already said sort of volumes about these games, particularly if they are, headliner games. If they are big AAA, I think I'm guilty of sort of ruining GTA 4 for myself because I consumed everything that everybody wrote about that game in the 3 weeks before it came out. So by the time it came out, there were no more secrets left for me. You know what I mean?
And the review is probably completely irrelevant at that point as well. Like, you'd already made up your mind, right?
The reviews for
I knew.
GTA, just in particular, were so weird because they're less about the game and more like, oh, Rockstar has just made the this new form of entertainment and blah blah blah. And that was kind of a special case.
Yeah,
that's another interesting thing, though. Like, all this information is released before the game comes out. I sometimes wonder if reviews even have any value. Like, a lot of places, they rush to get that day one review out, but does that have any value to the consumer? I mean, personally, to me, I would rather the reviewer take their time with a particular game and then release the review like 2 weeks later. But of course, everyone buys their games day one, or a lot of people do. So, I mean, there's obviously that pressure from external sources to get that review out day one, play that review copy, rush through the game. But I think, consumers might be better served if reviewers took their time with the game, really delved into it, explored everything about it, and then finally came up with this thoughtful piece, a week or two or whatever later. Maybe we're better served, just that go ahead and try telling people not to buy their games day one, right?
Yeah, right. I was going to say, if only we could get people to wait for, keep their wallets, put their wallets away for a few weeks until people have actually spent enough time with this game instead of hitting F5 the night before the game comes out. Going, why isn't this review up yet?
Right, yeah, exactly. That's not going to happen.
Well, I think, for me, if I identify something that I suspect anyways or believe that I will enjoy, I've already pre-ordered it.
Right.
So by the time sort of day one comes around, reviews at that point are more or less irrelevant because there's almost an excellent chance I'm going to come home from work and it's going to be sitting on my doorstep. So I'm in no matter what. That has bit me on the ass in the past.
I'm the same way.
I have definitely. I think sort of the most recent example of that ruining me was the remake of Alone in the Dark, which, I mean, I love a good horror game, and up to the point where that game came out, everything about it looked like fun to me. And then it came out and it was awful. It was absolute garbage. I think most of the reviews are like 40s. And I paid $60 for it.
Ooh.
Yep. Just to make sure it was sitting on my doorstep the day it came out. So obviously that is a case where sort of my enthusiasm for a product bit me on the ass, and that I could have been better served by sort of tempering my enthusiasm a bit and maybe waiting to read some of those reviews.
See, that's really interesting, Randy, because I'm not sure if you know about the controversy that's been surrounding Dragon Age 2, for example, in the last couple of weeks. There is so much crap going on, like, about that game. If you go onto Metacritic and look at the user reviews, you'll see like the people who review the game, the professionals or whatever, it has like an aggregate of like 81 or 83 out of 100. And then you look at the user reviews and it's like 2 out of 10. It's like,
Right.
I don't know. I mean,
The
Wait,
controversy is that
so you know why that happened, right? Because there was that whole controversy about the BioWare engineer submitting his own glowing
reviewing
review.
his own game, yeah.
And
this
that-
happened before that came out, though.
Are you sure? Because I thought the
Yes.
really low reviews were in response to that, so people sort of
That was my
bombing
understanding
it.
as well.
No, these low reviews have been going on since day one, since the game came out, because people were bitching that BioWare had changed the game, had raped their childhood, and all that other stuff that George Lucas has been doing to Star Wars fans for the last 20 years. It was just ridiculous. I mean, it probably got worse once people found out that the BioWare employee was reviewing the game, but they were already like giving it 1s out of 10
Okay.
on the site.
the
like,
internet
before that
was
happened.
already on the job.
Yeah. Thank you, internet.
Doing the big work, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's just kind of an interesting thing to delve into, but I found it kind of interesting that I think it was DJ who just said that, well, it's kind of too late when blogs put their reviews up, because isn't that kind of what we were planning on doing, putting
Yeah.
reviews up?
Well, I mean, we don't necessarily have access to day one content. I mean, it's not like we
No.
get a game a week in advance of it coming out. If we could do that, I would happily feed that machine. But we just don't have access, unfortunately. So our reviews, at least until the point where somebody goes, hey, we should send those guys review copies, hint, hint, nudge, nudge, will be late, So
Well,
I don't know that necessarily is devalued. I don't think any of us are thinking maybe we should review. It's so easy to pick on Call of Duty. I don't think any of us are thinking we should review the new Call of Duty.
Why leave Call of Duty alone?
Right. Well, I think
I'd love a review copy of Modern Warfare 3, by the way. I know you're listening, Activision.
I believe the people that want to play Call of Duty Black Ops bought it already, or at the very least are waiting for that perfect price point and know that they will enjoy it. There's nothing that we can say that is going to deter or convince someone that they need to have that experience. I think what we collectively believe, and I don't want to put words in your guys' mouth, obviously, is that there are sort of under the radar games that we can bring to light. That because we consume games like we do, that we have a unique perspective on, simply saying this is something you guys, you, the readers, the listeners of Video Game Hangover, may have missed, and you should probably pay attention to it because we think it's quality.
Oh yeah, that's
there's just-
definitely.
sorry, go ahead, DJ.
There are a couple of occasions when I will actually go out and look for a review, and that's one of them. When it's a lesser known game that I've never heard of, and I haven't been following the previews leading up to the launch, and I'm like, it kind of gives you a nice overview of what to expect, maybe a little more subjective than just going to the Wikipedia page of the official site.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we're all on the same page. We just want to bring to light some of those goodies that people may have, missed in this wash of games that are coming out all the time. I mean, God knows how many games I've missed over the last 5-6 years alone. And some of them are amazing games I'd never even heard of until somebody just, poked me and said, hey, have you checked this out? Like 3 years after it came out. So hopefully, we can get that across in our reviews. I think that'd be great.
Absolutely.
So I don't know if it's if we've made it clear. We've sort of been hinting at it, but we plan to have reviews up on the site soon, and we'd like to focus them on these lesser known games that you haven't heard of. So maybe you can go check them out.
Right. Well, and lesser known, obviously, is subjective as well. But
Right.
Yeah.
I think it's clear that we will not be reviewing Call of Duty Black Ops. So I think one of the things that, Paul, you had mentioned in your notes was that do we think that it's good that developers or programmers are given a minimum sort of review score that we know because of sort of things that we've read and rumors, obviously, that folks that work for game developers are given bonus goals, that if your game reviews above an 80, you'll get X number of dollars after it comes out.
Well, it's not just bonus goals. I've heard rumors of entire studios being threatened that they're going to be shut down if they don't meet certain review scores. And I mean, don't quote me on this. I've just heard rumblings on the interwebs, but that kind of scares me.
That's a Bobby Kotick thing. I don't think that's a rumor. I know that's a real thing.
Bobby Kotick.
At least I believe it is. Unless I'm skewing stories, please don't sue Activision. I can't I can't fight you. But I'm fairly certain Bobby Kotick is solely responsible for ensuring that his developers have minimum scores, and if they don't meet them, they will not bonus and may not have a job next year.
I mean, I can understand that, companies want to have a certain standard of quality of games they release. That's awesome. That is great. I mean, you need to have standards, but when you try to have like a universal type of standards, you got to like fit into this weird Metacritic mold. You might be stifling creativity, and that's something I do not want to see happen to some of these bigger studios. I don't want funky ass games that are taking chances to only be made on the indie scene. I think that larger developers have a lot to add in that spectrum.
I mean, it's sort of just an unfortunate byproduct of all these developers trying to come up with the next AAA title and sinking millions and millions of dollars into it, because you obviously want a return on your huge investment. So
that's true.
They got to look at those the Metacritic scores, and this sort of brings us back to Metacritic, whether it's a reliable source or not.
Any sort of aggregate, I just don't think it adds a whole lot. I mean, I can see the point of getting some sort of broad spectrum type of view on a product and seeing, so many people think it's good or bad, but I might take games a little bit too seriously, or maybe I look at them more of an artsy-fartsy type of viewpoint, and that's why I think that Metacritic isn't... It's not particularly... I don't even use it anymore. I used to a few years ago, but not anymore.
So do you use Metacritic for other sort of pop culture things that you consume? Do you use it for movies or music or anything like that? Or
no, not really. I mean, basically, like a lot of the stuff that I consume, I get suggested from my friends. That's like number one place where I discover new things from friends and family or whatever. Because I tend to get a feel for what my friends like and don't like. And I used to be able to get that with reviewers. I mean, two of my favorite reviewers, like Dan Shu, he has his own website now, but I don't think he reviews games a whole lot. And I tended to have similar tastes to what he had. And there was also Greg Casavin as well, and he's been long gone out of the review arena. And ever since the two of them left, I mean, I haven't really been able to find a few people whose voice I can really listen to and agree with. And it's just been like, just listen to my friends, basically, or stick to what I know I'm going to like, which doesn't really do me a service. I don't know about you guys, though.
Yeah, I think I find that I'm more open to experimenting. Sort of, I think as a grown-up and as somebody who's sort of gotten to a point in life where I have a bit of disposable income every week, I think it's easier to sort of go, that looks like fun, I'll give it a shot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I do that, yeah.
And those moments are rare. I think seldom do I sort of go into a buying a game or even sort of seeing a movie or buying a CD sort of uninformed or without any sort of research. But it does happen. Yeah. And there is sort of a pleasure in the crapshoot there, particularly I think in music for me historically, there were a number of bands that I sort of got into because I'm like, I like the cover of this at a record store.
Back when they still sold CDs in stores.
Right. Before I could pull out my phone and look at reviews and stuff like that, or listen to a sample on YouTube or on their MySpace or Pure Volume page or whatever. Just sort of going with cover art or the song titles look cool. You know what I mean? Or it's on a record label that I like. There really isn't a lot of that in my life anymore, and I think the access to media, the access to enthusiast media, of those 15 hype articles, has made it easier for me to sort of be a better informed consumer. I think though that there are people who don't consume hype in the way that maybe the three of us do. Certainly not in the way that I do.
Well, what do you mean?
I think that I think Metacritic serves a purpose for a lot of folks. I think.
Yeah, I do too.
I think in general, it's a pretty good, or fairly reliable barometer of how of what the average person will think of something like a game.
Sure.
I mean, it tends to do a pretty good job, but you can't rely on it for day one aggregates, because then you have a bunch of angry BioWare fans dragging the average down.
Well, yeah, let me ask you guys this simple question. I mean, let's say you're not sure about a game, but you've heard of something that you might be interested in taking a look at. Do you just like rush over to Metacritic, see what the aggregate is, and if it's like, oh, it's 85, I'll give it a try? Or do you like dig in and read the reviews, and do you like hone in on a few websites or writers who you tend to think write higher quality reviews and go with them? I mean, which is it?
Well, so first of all, I am guilty of doing the knee jerk head over to Metacritic and see what the number is. But I definitely go past that, and I like to look at who wrote the reviews. And so Randy sort of touched on this earlier. He reads the he starts with the positive reviews until he gets down to the negative reviews, because it could be just one guy who has the negative review in the sea of 80s and 90s, but there's still a good chance that he has some valid points about what he didn't like, and maybe it's sort of in line with what Randy might not like in a game as well.
Right.
I love how on right. I love how on Amazon they'll put up they have user reviews, and they'll put the I guess most favored review and then the least favorite review, or the least
yes, yep,
the least positive, least something, yeah. And that I find is extremely helpful, because a lot of these times when you're looking at these aggregators, you're just reading the top reviews,
the two ends of the spectrum. Yeah. What was the question? What are we talking about?
Yeah. Oh, I was just asking.
Wants to know how
beyond Metacritic.
Detail.
I do. I do go to Metacritic and look at scores first. I like seeing video reviews. I think if I sometimes I feel like if I can see sort of a game in action, if I can see video of it being played, that is usually a better indicator to me of whether or not I'll enjoy playing it myself.
So do you like game trailers reviews?
I do. I go to game trailers quite a bit, actually. Yeah.
Oh, really? I was going to say I can't stand game trailers reviews.
Oh, really? Why not?
Well, first of all, I don't really care for video reviews. I feel like they actually don't communicate very much content through their having it in video format.
Oh, certainly not as much as a prose review. I can see that.
Right. Well, I mean, yeah, it's like a couple paragraphs of review stretched out over 5 or 10 minutes. But also, I guess all the reviews I've watched on game trailers just seem to be really sort of, they do the scientific breakdown, and it all sounds so matter of fact, like, oh, this is how the gameplay works, and the graphics look good, but...
Oh, yeah, I'm not a big fan of breaking everything down.
You sort of chunk it out like that, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I agree with you on that.
It seems so just impersonal and robotic. I don't know, that's not the kind of review I go looking for.
Yeah. So you're looking more for like a personality that emerges from the writer.
Yeah, well, I mean, I like to know people's personal reactions to these games, because a game is more than just how good the graphics and the music are. Yeah,
no, I totally agree with that. That's
you do need some commentary on the experience, because I mean we've all played games that don't have good graphics or don't have good music, but are a lot of fun. So there needs to be sort of a means of communicating that as well. And I think that's where, smart writers who can convey personality and experience in the course of their reviews will be able to get that out. I think, it's, in terms of conveying personality through game reviews, can we talk about Yahtzee? I think I think those, I don't know that I've never ever made sort of a, because he seems to sort of hate everything.
Well, that's the shtick.
That's kind of his thing, yeah.
But he hates everything in a very funny way.
Oh, I love it.
So I do like watching his video reviews, because they are hysterical.
This is the guy who does zero punctuation.
Zero punctuation. These sort of like high-speed, fast-forward, very sort of aggressive and bloody reviews of video games.
And oh my God, is he so sarcastic? I love it.
Yeah.
He really has a talent for just zeroing in on sort of the essence of what makes a game good or bad, or what the developer has accomplished with the game.
Right.
It's kind of amazing.
For his perspective, though, I think that it all hinges on that. That if one little element of a game is particularly distracting to him, the game is irredeemable. And I think he writes off games very quickly because of some little thing that I think many of us, certainly me, can learn to overlook. But I think that works for him. I think it's funny that way. I mean,
well, his entire thing is more of a tongue-in-cheek look.
Right.
It's like almost a commentary on reviews themselves,
Well, I mean,
like
negative reviews are inherently more interesting than positive ones, I think.
Yeah.
And it's easier to sort of convey your perspective and personality, and saying something is crappy, and saying it in a way that is amusing and informative. than saying this is really good, you should do it. But other than that, I don't know that I necessarily know of any sort of game personalities that I immediately gravitate towards their perspective on. I think maybe this is a byproduct of me constantly consuming reviews through Metacritic, is that I could name too many game writers. I can certainly name sources, and there are sources that magazines or websites whose reviews I question because they all are generally sort of blindly positive or blindly negative for that matter.
Like who?
Nintendo Power. Certainly.
So they're affiliated with the company.
I think everybody knows how
like,
Nintendo Power reviews work.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I'm a member of the Best Buy Reward Zone thing, and they send me their gamer magazine.
Oh,
right. And I'm like, really? There's seldom anything below. I think they go on a 1 through 5 scale, and I think there's seldom anything below a 3.5 or a 3. Obviously, it's in Best Buy's best interest to sell as many video games as possible, particularly now because Best Buy is not doing so well.
But you can see my point, right? When Nintendo Power is given equal weight on an aggregate site, there's a problem there.
Right.
Because
but for every Nintendo Power, there's going to be a Yahtzee or a Eurogamer that's going to say, this is garbage, do not buy it.
Yeah, but he's tongue-in-cheek.
Right.
Well, hopefully, the whole idea behind being an aggregate is you get enough people that it balances out. Like the few kind of crazy positive or negative reviews won't influence it as much. And there's always going to be somebody who... there's a universally popular game, and it turns out they just didn't like it, and that gets incorporated as well.
No, you got a point there. I really don't know what else to say about that.
Cool. I think that probably does it. We've sort of beat this topic to death, I think, right?
I just wanted to mention that, have you guys seen that Metacritic has actually started doing aggregates for like individual artists and developers as well? So right now, if you go to Metacritic, there's the Strokes have an average score of 77, and Chris Brown has a 54. So it's not enough to just review their products or their output. They actually get their own aggregate label.
If they review their career.
Yeah. I only listen to bands who are 85. So.
Right.
Oh yes, of course, because you don't want to try those 22s.
So no Strokes for you, huh?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Moving right along. Well, thank you guys. That was interesting. So, our listeners, do you have any strongly held opinions on games? Would you like to review our review of video game reviews? Hit up VGHangover.com. Let us know your thoughts, or you know how to find us on Twitter. Get in touch. Let us know what you think.
Yeah.
Cool.
We also have a little contest that we're going to be doing for the next couple of weeks.
This is going to be fun.
Kind of
fun. Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Everybody start paying attention again.
Yeah, pay attention, everyone. Start slapping your face.
Yeah, wake up.
Yeah, we got crap to give to you guys. Yeah, but before we head off into the sunset, I'm just going to give you fine folks a few details on this awesome contest that we kind of teased in episode 5. Did we mention that in episode 5? I think we
hinted at it.
Very, very briefly. Okay, well, guys, here it is. First of all, we're going to be giving away this incredible prize pack of gamer goodies. And one Mr. Randy Dickinson was kind enough to donate a bunch of PAX East swag. So let's give it up for Mr. Randy. Woo!
Yay.
Woo!
Yay.
He has a whole bunch of stuff that he got from PAX. So he's putting it into this little thing, this gift basket, if you may.
It's just fair warning. It's not all awesome.
I think it is all awesome, right?
Well, yeah, there's definitely some good stuff in there, but
there's also a lot of bad stuff. So sorry.
Right. There's a lot of garbage. No, you just Paul, you used the word incredible, and I just want to be clear that.
Well, you have to hype things before someone before they have to feel good. They have to anticipate this package coming in the mail, and then once they open it, they can be like, "Oh."
My PAX swag bag currently has a Metacritic rating of about 75.
So get on there and review it, folks, and bump that up. So he has a job next week.
But there are some cool goodies in there. There's a Red Faction T-shirt. There's a Killzone backpack. There's a Behemoth Games lanyard and a bunch of other cool little goodies. And we're going to throw one more thing in there, right, Paul?
Yeah, we're going to be putting in a $20 gift card for Amazon. And I sincerely hope that the winner uses this card for games and not groceries. But if you are starving, then feel free to get as much ramen as you need. Okay.
Yeah, if it comes down to eating or playing a video game, you should probably go with the food.
Yeah, we want you to eat so you can listen to more episodes of Video Game Hangover.
You're right.
But we'll have the
Because
contest
if you're
details.
dead, you can't download. Right.
Yeah, right. Keep downloading this mofo, folks. Keep downloading it. But all the details of the contest are going to be on the website. But it's going to be pretty simple. We're going to quiz you. That's right. We're going to give you guys a test. And it's going to be we're going to be asking you 6 questions regarding the show. All you have to do is answer them and email us at contact@vghangover.com. Again, that's contact@vghangover.com. But just look up on the website. You'll see all the details there. But it's going to be a VGH quiz.
Cool.
So, yeah, I think that might be a lot of fun.
And then that'll go up this week before the weekend, right?
Yeah, we should have it up probably when the show goes live. If not, then Thursday, just like, like I said, Thursday for my Xenogears thing. So hopefully it'll be sooner than that.
Excellent. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Paul. And anything else, DJ, you want to add? Do you have anything you want to throw into the swag bag, DJ?
I got nothing.
Nothing?
This is
How
all
about some
you
of those
guys.
slimes? I bet you if you went around your house, you could pick up some slimes and put it in the bag.
I'm not giving up my slimes, you crazy. Pry it from my cold, dead hands.
All right. Let's wrap this up.
How could you ask him that?
I know. I'm sorry. Well, that's why I knew it would get shot down and get a laugh. If you're looking for show
don't
notes
think
or
it's fun,
occasional
but-
musings from Paul, DJ, and I, or want to talk about this week's show, hit up our website, vghangover.com. Or like Paul said, you can always email us at contact@vghangover.com. We are also on Twitter. We are at twitter.com/vghangover. DJ Paul and I are on there as well. You can find links to our feeds on our website. We would love to get your reviews on iTunes, Zune Marketplace, or wherever fine video game podcasts are sold. I think we have 2 good reviews on iTunes. And
I think we need some more.
And 0 bad reviews, obviously. I just want to clarify.
So that's a 100 average.
Right. So
Doing all right. We're going to be here next week then.
if you are an iTunes consumer, we would very much love for you to go on iTunes and say some nice things about us.
Bobby Kotick demands it.
Bobby Kotick requires a sacrifice. Cool. All right. Thanks for nursing this video game hangover with us. We will be back in 2 weeks.
And I think
Have a
we're
good night.
gonna play us off with a little more of a fantastic music by Soul Eye.
Thanks, Oli.
Have a good night. The music featured in this week's episode of Video Game Hangover is by Magnus Solai Poulsen, composer for the game V. You can download free samples, buy the V soundtrack album or the new remix album Power Up at his website, souleye.se. If you make awesome video game inspired music and want to have it featured on the show, get in touch with us at contact@vghangover.com.